Week in review, February 13th, 2023. First thing I'm going to do is dive into some comments from last week. Skylar Durlacher, love the idea of the games at your ranch. A number of people expressed interest in that idea, so still gotta think about it and see how we can pull something off like that, but something I've really wanted to do for a while, so hopefully we can make it happen. Johnny B, do you think CrossFit would ever try to get their methodology in the public school system? I think it'd be interesting to see it be the new presidential physical fitness test for grades 1st through 8th, just do body weight WODs, then introduce them to weights in 9th through 12th, just brainstorming. Yeah, I think that'd be amazing. I think that'd be really cool to pull off. Us trying to bring CrossFit into new institutions, essentially, or organizations, is much more challenging than you would think. Typically in organizations or institutions or governmental bodies where we've seen success, it's almost always where there's a champion of the movement or an individual who's really into CrossFit. Absent that, it's hard to penetrate into a lot of these groups because we'd be approaching, let's say there's a school system or an organization we could talk to do something like this that did not have anyone CrossFitting. Obviously that would come off very pitchy, like we're trying to sell our product, which we would be, like we're trying to sell our methodology, and there's some intimidation to it. Obviously there's a lot of results that come from the program, but for those who don't understand it, it can be very scary for them to implement or want to bring on board. So to kind of sum that up, I'll go back to what I started with. Unless you have someone from inside who's really pushing for or an ambassador of what you're trying to accomplish or trying to get CrossFit into these audiences, I think it's a long shot usually. But I do think CrossFit should be in the public school systems. I do think CrossFit should be introduced at a much younger age for youth, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. I think there needs to be more adoption of it across all of society, from the parents and from the teachers, and then they can start working on pushing it down to the children and getting more buy-in there. If you are in any of those worlds and you want us to work with you on getting it more broadly accepted at schools, hit me up. Ivana said, what is your favorite open you've programmed and what is your favorite games event you've programmed? My favorite open probably is just the 7 minutes of burpees because it was so simple yet so brutal, so hated by society, or not society, I'm sorry, by CrossFit and by those who did it, and yet we all loved it at the same time. I really, really like that one. What is your favorite games event you programmed? That's a tougher question. I feel like there's there's definitely way more games events that I programmed. That is I liked Atlanta, the final of 2020. That was a cool event that had a lot of unique elements and high reps and really long. That one was one of that comes to my mind right away. Someone else asked, Anthony Marquez, hey Dave, why didn't you join the Army instead of the Navy like a real man? And then he said, LOL. I didn't join the Army because I joined the Navy because I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. And so a SEAL, just happened that SEALs were in the Navy. That's the community that piqued my interest, and so that's why I enlisted in the Navy, to pursue that dream. I just got done training the San Mateo SWAT snipers. They just left about 10 minutes ago. They came over, we had a really good time, took them up top. They had some new Vortex binos that they want, and some Vortex optics. They wanted the binos have rangefinders and give them their dope, so they wanted to test the system at different yard line or different ranges. So we went to different spots on the ranch and worked through that. Good system, good group of guys. These guys have been out here 3 or 4 times now, so enjoy working with them, and all the SWAT teams that come out. Next week, there's another team from San Luis Obispo coming out too. This weekend, did some tractor work, and if you saw on my Instagram, my hunting Instagram, I got my tractor stuck. It's still out there. I got to figure out how I'm going to get it. I also got poison oak. If you see that, actually you can see the stuff on my chin and my cheek, and then on my neck. So, been doing a lot of work in the back. Got poison oak from that. Last weekend, I took the doctors level 2 that we did here at the ranch on a trail run, and a handful of people have emailed me since that they also they got poison oak from that trail run. So it's starting to pop here. It's starting to the grass is starting to grow. Poison oak is out. It's becoming that season where you don't want to go off trail. I just finished this book, How to Read Literature Like a Professor by Thomas Foster. So this is a cool book. I recommend it. I read a lot, as a lot of you know. I like to read a lot of the classics, and I wanted just a little guidance or insight on on different ways to think about the books, or different ways to think about the novels and the stories. And this book made me think of attacking the reading a little differently and understanding some of the things that I was starting to learn and why they're in a lot of these books. For example, like having a good understanding of the Bible, because the Bible is referenced so often, or some of the stories from the Bible are even retold in different ways. You see the themes come up a lot, which I don't have a great understanding of the Bible, but I'm just saying, like I started learning about the Bible through a lot of the classics that I've read. Also, the Odyssey and Iliad, those books too, you see a lot of the themes from those continued on through other classics later on in the development of literature in general. So a lot of cool concepts. Really enjoy this book. If you like to read and then you want to kind of go deeper into the study and what's going on in some of these books, that's a great. Highly recommend that. He had a line in there that I really liked too. I wrote it down. Education is essentially what happens in a formal institute, and learning is what happens on an ongoing basis. And that resonates very well. He said it differently. I wrote it down that way. I don't remember exactly how he said it, but that resonates with me entirely, especially through years of teaching at the level 1. And what I mean by that is you can go to the level 1 and there's a lot to learn, and you can go to anything. There's learning opportunities. I learned today when I was teaching these guys, or working with these guys, the SWAT snipers, there were some things I picked up and learned. But at the level 1 or anywhere you go, learning is a choice you have to make. You have to want to learn. And oftentimes I see people go to a level 1 and on their feedback or after the course talk about how they didn't learn anything. There's nothing new here, and it was a waste of their time or whatnot. You don't hear it often, but I've seen it before. I've heard people say these things. It's the minority. It's not a majority. Anyways, the problem though isn't the course or the curriculum. It's the individual. You're going in with this attitude or this mindset where you're choosing not to learn. So people, when you read or when you go to courses or when you do anything in life, having a perspective or a mindset of being open-minded and wanting to absorb information and wanting to learn and wanting to grow is totally critical to advancement in thought and advancement in approach, technique, mindset. Yet a lot of people go through courses or do things like that completely closed-minded. And interestingly, to go back to the level 1 example, some of the people who are the people who say they don't learn anything come from fitness and they think there's nothing to learn, but those are absolutely the people who have the most to learn at level 1. So continue to learn, continue to be open-minded, especially when hearing new perspectives or seeing new approaches to things. I also had a match at my ranch this weekend, a 22 match on Saturday. I run little competitions. That was a good time. It was raining in the morning, but then the rain cleared up and we were able to do the rest of the match in semi-dry environment. Oh, there was one other, I just saw this one other comment from Vicchiello. She said, I miss your announcements and your clues for the open announcements. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a little clue this year. All right, thanks for tuning in.